very few adults make this phase. The kind of self-transforming mind. And if previously we were talking about, a really competent game player, this would be almost a game designer. This is someone who is not really held back by any sense of who they are as a person and what values and ideals they have, and is able to basically embrace and extend any of the opinions and ideas of people around him. So they're constantly being recreated by the group that they're in, if that makes sense. You could almost, an engineering metaphor would be that this person can kind of run any idea that comes to them in VM, and they kind of properly evaluate it. They're genuinely curious and interested in other people. They're willing to drop an entire ideology and swap it for another one, in moments if it kind of makes sense for them. And unlike, that second phase, it's not being driven by what will other people think. It's truly being driven by the quality of that idea and ideology. The other very interesting thing about these people that I find fascinating is the tendency to think in systems. So when someone is bringing up an idea, being able to very quickly realize, oh, they're bringing up that idea because of X, Y, and Z, because that's their position in the organization, or that's their background, or that's the environment they grew up in. It's almost like you're seeing the entire map, or you're on the 100th floor of the building and you're seeing the entire city unfold underneath you, as opposed to being on the first floor. They make the interesting case that this is the vision. This is where you want to get to. It's actually not clear to me for founders that you want to be here until you have product market fit. There's something very interesting about these people, which is they're generally, I find they're very good at managing very high quality talent who needs to be properly heard, needs to be properly understood in order to be inspired to come into work every day. But danger of making metaphors, but when you think of Elon or Steve Jobs, it's not clear that you end up here. It's a little bit more stage 4. They have an idea and they're just going to railroad it through. But I think it's an interesting thing to hold on to long term. And I definitely think as you guys grow and as your companies, you start building out a strong executive bench, this is actually what's required to get A players to be interested in working for you. You have to really be able to set up an environment where they can live their own ideology and they feel challenged by you and they feel like you're willing to adopt it, and you can actually put together people with very different ideologies and kind of get them to mesh together. It's like you're designing, the game as opposed to being an individual player. So I thought, so the question is like, okay, given where